Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 215 of your Take Two podcast. Brian, what's going on today? I am in a good mood. I had a good football weekend, although I luckily did not hurt my ankle by stepping on a flag. I don't know how that happens, but I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that?
They should. Yes, I did. They should have like a list of flag injuries. Remember the one dude lost his eye?
Yeah, I got thrown in the face, but I've never seen that one where it's just like, oh, I stepped on a flag on the ground. Like, how does that hurt your
Did
ankle?
you just like roll the ankle, like because it's all popcorn kernels inside of there.
And oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Mm-hmm. Normally.
But yeah, as you can see, Brian's still celebrating baseball season. I'm celebrating football. Good win for the Buckeyes and the Browns this weekend. So very happy.
Not only for the Browns, but Tennessee upset the Ravens.
True. We moved into playoff contention. Yeah, officially playoff contention, second place. I love it. I'm hoping that the Buckeyes will be able to move up to second at some point during the season because they're still sitting at third, but we'll see.
Giants didn't even play, and we gained games on the Eagles.
That's nice. See, so I helped you out too.
We did. You did very much. Oh, I was cheering. It's funny. I was thinking about this, and hey, this is our sports podcast, by the way. Take Two Sports. It's always funny to me in sports. Like I was rooting hardcore for your Browns this weekend, but in 3 weeks we play you, so then I'll be rooting against. It's always funny to me. Those
so it makes it fun.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyways, let's get to the movies. We got a movie show to do. Yeah, movies. So we watched a couple movies this week. We watched a couple little streaming options. We got some first takes for you. I think about 7 different things we want to discuss, and then of course, our regular trailer discussions and casting and news and DC and Marvel. We're ready to get into it. Another big episode as always.
Interview series continues as well. We have a Miss Gigi Gustin. She's an actress. She's up and coming. She's done some pretty decent things when I started reviewing her. I'll tell you this, first time I've had to watch a music video. She was in a couple of music videos. She got her feet wet doing those early on. So I watched a couple of music videos doing homework for her. And we chat about that a little bit later on the show, about a 15-minute interview. I hope you guys enjoy that. And then go follow her pages and such. Like you just said, 7 reviews. We got a bunch to talk about today. Some decent casting, some big comic book news later on in the DC and Marvel. Like some actual heavy stuff that we got to chit-chat about. Some big news that they dropped there. Promotion
one that I may have wished into the ether, actually. So that's
You did. Let's see if we can talk you into the ether today. You're on a streak here of talking things into existence. But this should be a good show, man. I'm looking forward to 215.
Yeah, and hopefully if you guys are listening on the audio format, this is also a video one, so you can go check us out on YouTube. Check out our glorious beard game. I'm going to shout out our beard game. You look like unshaven this morning.
I did I even trimmed it like a legit beard.
Oh, see, mine's really bad. Mine, I was combing through it, and it was like.
Oh, nice. I did the underneck and everything to make it look like an actual beard instead of just shaved. 2 reasons. One, everyone at work is doing it. It's the cool kid thing right now.
Do it, man. Winter warmer.
I went in on it. I want the winter warmer. B, the number one beard game guy at work, a buddy of ours, Chase, it's his birthday today. I was since we're going to be on video, he doesn't listen or watch, but that's still.
Fine. Yeah. Happy quarter life crisis, buddy. Welcome.
I told him it's going to be his half-life.
You better start wearing that mask. All right, anyways. But speaking of birthdays, before we kick off the show, I kind of threw this your way last week a little bit, just for fun, pulled up some birthdays. I noticed yesterday, for some reason, there was a lot of celebrity birthdays. So we shouted out ScarJo on our socials, trying to promote that we did a ScarJo spotlight less than a year ago. So wanted to get some traction on that episode, but she turned 36 yesterday. We also have Mark Ruffalo, turned 53. Alihi Cravalho, Moana, turned 20, which you've met in person.
I have,
Jamie Lee Curtis, 62.
Wow.
Mads Mikkelsen, 55. And our CW friend from the Arrow, Catherine McNamara, also turns 25. So she shares a birthday week with Chase. So
she's rather easy on the eyeballs.
Yeah,
phenomenal. Follow on the old Instagram. Wow, a lot of comic heroes in there. One day.
Hulk and stuff,
Very cool. Nice. Happy birthday to all those peeps. And go back in our spotlight because there's a couple of there you get some spotlights on.
And then can I also throw a couple anniversaries your way? Because I thought these are kind of fun. Every once in a while I like to look these up. And one of them actually came up on my own Facebook thing because I went to see this movie in the theater. It was like Facebook memory. And there was the Harry Potter Deathly Hallows, the first one, released 10 years ago. So 10 years ago, the first part of that finale released, as well as Tangled. So Tangled is 10 years old. Congratulations to that.
Nice.
Unbreakable, 20 years old. That makes you feel old.
20?
20 years old, 2000 release. 25 years old, Casino and Toy Story, both released this week 25 years ago.
No shit.
So it was a good week to go to the movie theater there. And there was a little debate online of which do you like better, Casino or Goodfellas? I say Goodfellas, hands down.
Oh, that's not a debate for me at
No,
all. Casino's a fine movie, but it doesn't even come close.
I agree. And then lastly, Dances with Wolves. I don't know. Are you a fan of the Dances with Wolves? That's 30 years old this week.
I remember being a fan first time watching. I was like, oh, wow, great movie. I can see why I got all the awards. Second watch around, I was like, I don't find myself ever watching this movie again.
True.
Not that I didn't like it, but I was like, I'm good now.
I remember seeing this in the theater, and they actually had a intermission. That was like one of the only times I remember that ever happening in a movie theater. I was a young kid, and my parents took me to see this movie, and then we had an intermission. I was like, what? We've already watched, over an hour and a half, and we got to come back and watch more of this shit? So, yeah, I don't think I've ever really revisited it, but it was fine for what I saw back then.
Valid.
All right, enough of the fun out of the way. Enough of the Take Two sports.
Enough of the fun.
You want to talk about the poll for this week?
Yeah.
All right, so this week I threw out the poll because this was also, I forget who it was. I saw somebody else discussing it online, like everybody's, changing their ways of how they like to consume content. I've seen a lot of people recently saying, you know what, I like the weekly drops. Your Mandalorian, you're The Boys, shows like that. I like getting the weekly drops. It gives everybody the same page, gets a discussion going. It's better than just binging, and then you don't know how many episodes people have watched. You can't really talk to people about it, and there's a rush to get every episode watched the first weekend. And I like the weekly drop personally, so I just threw it out there as a question. What's your way to consume streaming content, binging or weekly episodes? And no surprise, I guess people are still stuck in their ways. They love the Netflix binging model, so 70% of the vote on Twitter went to that, which I was kind of surprised it was that high, but seems to still be the winner. As well as on Instagram, we had Dan, Craig, Katz, Will, the On My Box podcast. They all shouted out binging. They prefer the binge model. I personally went with weekly, as well as did Chris on Instagram, and Justin on Facebook also said weekly. So I think the smarter people are turning to the weekly drop as the smart way to go. What do you think?
It's funny that you said stuck in our ways, liking the binging, because I felt
the old method is weekly. Yeah.
And that's why I voted weekly, because, we got away from it. And then I'm with you, man. I always love that water cooler talk, that the week, that Monday after or whatever it is. And then you're sitting there chatting about, did you see, can't wait, what's going to happen? And to that point, I just started watching Lost. I've never seen it.
Water cooler show.
Exactly. And that show, and you would be able to speak to this better than I mean, you had whole factions of people breaking down the episodes and what did that mean? But you can't do that in the binge model. So I'm with you, man. I like the weekly still to this day.
When I started that show, that was actually one of the first shows I made a DVR recording for, where I was like, I got to make sure I get this, because back in the day, kids, if you didn't have a recording or VCR or whatever, you missed the episode. If it showed and you didn't see it, you didn't see it. So it's not as easy as just pulling up your service and clicking play. So back in the day, you had to set your DVR and record it, and that was one of the first shows I remember doing that for. That and Smallville, I think, were like the first ones. I was like, I got to record these. I got to make sure I can get my shows in. And then that show also Lost. They started a podcast. That was one of the first podcasts that I really listened to. Was a weekly thing where you were able to email in questions and stuff, and the creators Damon Lindelof and Carlton Cuse would sit down and break down and answer questions and stuff. So it was another way of enjoying that weekly release.
Yeah, so cool. I mean, I guess listen, there's some shows that I enjoyed getting to binge it out, but if you're giving me the option, A or B, I'm definitely taking the weekly model just so we can chat more. This is also coming from two podcast hosts who host a weekly show to talk about things.
Well, and that's part of why I think we lean towards the weekly as well, because we're like, oh, we got to rush through and get, like when we went to watch Queen's Gambit, I'm like, I got to watch it all this weekend so we can talk about it. It's 10 episodes or whatever. So if you would, I'd like to just do the weekly drop and talk about it slowly. But to talk about Queen's Gambit for a minute, I don't know if you saw this. Netflix released some stats on that. Record 62 million households chose to watch Queen's Gambit in its first 28 days of release, making it the biggest scripted series on Netflix to date.
Wow.
So huge for them. They said the series made the top 10 in 92 countries, number 1 in 63 countries. The novel entered the New York Times bestseller list after 37 years of its release, and Google searches for how to play chess hit a 9-year peak.
That's awesome. Good for them.
Good for Queen's Gambit. Because I don't think I searched how to play chess, but I was like, I think I was searching some things during the show, just trying to figure out more information. So that definitely, and it sparked some interest on our universe page this week as well. Other people have been catching up with it. So
yeah,
loved it. Go back and listen to our review.
Speaking of that universe page, this is with the socials. This is where you will find these polls. Tony puts up every Thursday. You can post on that universe page every single day. Just join the group and you guys can post on there. We have one of our listeners, Eric. Well, I use the word listener loosely because he posted,
we reviewed it.
He said, hey, has anybody seen Queen's Gambit? We reviewed it 3 weeks ago. But either way, thank you for listening, Eric. Thank you for listening, everyone. And please post a bunch of stuff up there, even if it's goofy stuff, pictures of actors that you might not know their names, crap like that. It can be fun. Sure. You know what bummed me out about that? Nobody guessed the actors until a friend of ours, Terry, at the very. I knew you guys were gonna make fun of me with that, but I actually wanted people to try and guess the actors.
So it's funny because I started to. When I looked at the picture, I didn't notice the change in the picture. So I started to, and I was like looking at it, and I'm like, okay, I know this guy, I know that guy. And then when I got to that third row, I was like, that fucker, and I just stopped. I was so mad.
Oh, geez. All right. Fun times. But guys, Facebook, Take Two Podcasts, you can find our regular Facebook page there, but then the universe page, that's the group page. Join on that. And that has all the interactivity. Of course, Instagram, Twitter, follow those pages as well at Take Two Podcasts for both of those. We're posting stuff, I feel like daily all the time on Instagram now. It is hot. It's awesome. I love it. And even we've been fleeting on the Twitter
stories, right?
Yeah.
I don't know where that goes. Like, I can't figure that out yet. It's still so new, but yeah, check us out on the Twitter fleets. I even added some Facebook stories here or there, which those aren't very big, but I mean, we've been trying to do that as well. So yeah, everywhere, just trying to reach out with the interactivity.
Love it. All right, man, let's rock into the show, man. We got 7 reviews. We got to get rocking and running here. And let's start off with our first big one, and that is Run.
It was good. Rocking and running. I like that.
It wasn't as good as your Queen's Gambit segue a minute ago. That was like pro level, how you circled Netflix binging back into that. Either way, sorry.
All right. So Run. Now, this movie is something I've been looking forward to all year, actually. I remember it was supposed to be released back in Mother's Day. We had seen the trailer kind of right as the world was shutting down, and I was like, damn it, we're not going to get to see that. I am personally a big Sarah Paulson fan, so I was looking forward to this one. I also like the director, Anish Chakravarti. I'm probably murdering that name, but he directed Searching. That was his directorial debut. I love Searching. So I'll just say right away, I think he's 2 for 2. I think this movie was pretty good. It's not a huge hit home run for me, but I really enjoyed it. What about you? General thoughts on the Run on Hulu?
I think that's the word to describe it. Pretty good. It's pretty good. I liked it. I think this is we have a heavy hitter, Sarah Paulson. And folks, I'm going to say this too. I'm going to just echo you. If you guys don't consider Sarah Paulson one of the top actresses in Hollywood, I don't know what you're doing. She's fantastic. She's now at that level for me where if she's in something, I'm in. Like, I wanted to watch that Ratchet crap knowing I'd be scared, knowing that Sarah Paulson was probably going to be amazing.
I think the problem with her that people stay away from is just because she's so tied to Ryan Murphy. So I like seeing this where she's getting away from Ryan Murphy projects. Do more of this.
Valid. But Kira Allen, they kind of just said, here you go, Kira. We're going to give you a film. Let's see what you can do with it. And I thought she did great. She did well. There's a lot of edge of your seaty stuff. I don't want to give anything away. I was about to talk about one scene in particular, but I don't want to give stuff away. But it was good stuff. And I found myself saying, all right, is there a bigger thing going on here? Is there a bigger to-do? Not really. In the end, it's just like, all right, this is just this compact story of this lady, her daughter, and what happened because of this lady and her daughter, and that's it. And I kind of liked that simplisticness once I accepted that that's what it was. And it was fine. It was good.
Sure. Yeah. And if you guys don't know what Run is about, I guess we should give a little synopsis. But it's a mother-daughter. You see the daughter has some disabilities, some health problems, whatever. And as the show develops, you find out what's really going on behind the scenes. As she's getting ready to kind of go off on her own life and start college, she wants some answers about her history and her past. So there were some interesting twists in here, some stuff that kind of surprised me. The only thing with me is I feel like this was a little too familiar for me, where I had already watched Mommy, Dead and Dearest, the documentary, and The Act on Hulu, and both of those shows deal with a real life story of what went on in this movie. So to me, I kind of saw a lot of the story beats coming. So that kind of took away from me from it. If you go into it not seeing any of that story, then maybe you'll enjoy it a little bit more. So and some of the tension, some of the twists may hit a little bit better for you. For me, I saw a little bit of that kind of coming. I did enjoy the direction and the film overall, though. I mean, it was very like Hitchcockian in a way, reminded me of like Rear Window. There was even some Stephen King kind of references and things like that in there with like almost like Misery. I don't know if you picked up on that. The pharmacist's name was Kay Bates, and then they called her Kathy. So I was like, oh, that's obviously a reference. And they even said Derry, Maine was in there when she calls the 411. He says something about Derry, Maine. So I was like, obviously there's some homage being paid to those kind of incidences, but Kira Allen, I'll totally echo what you said there. She can steal the show from Sarah Paulson. That's amazing. In her acting debut, She is actually bound to a wheelchair in real life, and she did a hell of a job in this movie and really steals the movie. It's a two-handed performance for the two of them, but I think she really stole the show. Good ending too. I thought it was a good ending, good little setup. It's one of those movies where I miss seeing it with a crowd. I think that would have played really well with a crowd, and not just watching it at home. So I did kind of miss that. But yeah, overall, pretty good. I've heard some really strong reviews on this. I'm not going to go as heavy. Like I said, just knowing the story kind of a little bit felt too familiar for me. But I'll go 3.5 out of 5-ish. That's where I fall with it.
I'll go like 3.4. I don't know.
Okay.
It was fine. Yeah. Did you notice when they went to the movies, the other movies on the marquee?
I did, but I didn't write it down. I forget. What was it?
One was
Breakout
called
or something?
One was called Fake News.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I actually want to tweet the director or whomever and just ask if that was, what they were going with there. Just kind of joke. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny that they just threw up a movie called Fake News coming soon.
That's good.
I liked it. Guys, if you have any interest whatsoever, if you're madly in love with Sarah Paulson as we are, go watch Run. It won't be a waste of your time.
Yeah, my only thing that's interesting about it is why would you, I don't know, releasing this on Mother's Day, I think that was a weird option. But then also now to release it like Thanksgiving where you're wanting to like sit down and watch stuff with the family, this doesn't fall into that category for me. So
they want you to watch it and then appreciate your mom that much more.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's like, oh, man, I could have had it so much worse. Okay, here, it's a hug, Mom.
Nothing like talking about Munchausen by proxy over Thanksgiving.
Yes, exactly. All right, I'm bummed because this was on my list for the weekend, but then things got away from me, and I didn't get to watch this. But you did get to watch our next film.
Yeah, well, we're going to kind of go back and forth here. We both had a couple that we caught up with individually, but not as a whole. So I'll take the first one here. And I talked about it last week and going forward. This is the Small Axe film series. All 5 movies directed by Steve McQueen, some of them shorter, but I think all of them are pretty much feature length. And they're dropping it on Prime weekly as a mini-series format, which I found interesting. And I love Steve McQueen. I think he's a great director. He directed 12 Years a Slave. I want to say he's the first black man to ever win an Oscar for a Best Picture. Like as listing as a producer, you get the Oscar for that film. So
sure.
I think if I remember correctly, he was the first black man to win an Oscar for Best Picture. Hunger is another good one. Shame. I actually enjoyed Widows probably more than most people. So I think he's a good director. He has a good track record. And this whole series just looked interesting to me. I love the idea of it, the format of it. So Small Axe comes from a Bob Marley song. So that's the inspiration for it. And I think with the first film released of the series, Mangrove, if you didn't already have Trial of the Chicago 7 released this year, this would be a movie people are talking about. It's almost the same story, but it's dealing with a British instance of this. So there's this group called the Mangrove 9, and the Mangrove was this restaurant that was in a predominantly black immigrant neighborhood, and the police had some very racial, intentions with trying to take this restaurant down and arrest these people and stop them from doing, enjoying their regular lives, whatever, do everything they could to interrupt their life and ruin this situation. They had a nice little community, tight knit, that would hang out at the restaurant, whatever, and the police would always go in and try and break it up. And they finally came to a head, and it was a big clash with the police. Everyone got arrested. They went on trial in the early 70s. I think it was 1970. So it's just an interesting look at racism against black people in England at this time as well. And I think that's the intention of Steve McQueen's series as a whole, is kind of the British black experience. So, because I know the next film is more of a love story and has musical elements, things like that. So each film is going to kind of take that approach. I really liked it. I thought this was a good movie. It's well written, has really good performances. Like I said, the only thing is it just has that Trial of Chicago 7 hanging over it, where it's like, oh, I've already seen a story pretty similar, pretty familiar here. So that kind of took away from it a little bit for me. Letitia Wright is really the only person in here that American audiences would probably recognize.
Okay.
Obviously from Black Panther. She was fantastic. And also she plays a Black Panther in the film, so I thought that was interesting. She's kind of the head of the local Black Panthers who start to rise up and do little protests and stuff against what happened here. Sean Parks is great in this film. Really haven't seen anything else that he's been in. A lot of British productions. Malachi Kirby, same thing. He was in a Black Mirror episode, and he was also in the Roots remake. I never watched the Roots remake. He was really good. And then also Jack London. He was in Dunkirk, Fighting with My Family. He plays Zach in Fighting with My Family. They were all pretty good in here. So some smaller, not really as well-known actors that do a really good job. And then the kind of main villain, if you will, the head racist police, Sam Spruell, was really good. And he's been in a ton of stuff as just small roles. Taken 3, Legend, The Martian, Outlaw King, Luther, all these different things he's had small roles in. So you may recognize some of them, but Letitia Wright's really the price of admission here for her performance, and it's worth your time. It's a 2-hour film, but like I said, it definitely rings true of Trial of Chicago 7, and that is so close. I wish they didn't release these so close together. So
Gotcha.
yeah.
Okay. Very
But
cool.
I am looking forward to the next 4 weeks and see what he brings us. I'm going to try and catch up with each of them every week and give you a review every week of the Small Axe films by Steve McQueen.
Beautiful. Okay. Next up, I got to see Dreamland, and this will be the only time we talk about this film, not over the next couple of weeks. Starring Margot Robbie and Finn Cole. This movie it takes place early 1900s. They're in Texas. Finn Cole lives with his family, grew up there, and they're out in the plains where, farmland, but things are very desolate and people are on hard times. And they find an outlaw is on the loose. This woman is a murderer and a bank robber, and she's on the loose somewhere in this small little town. And everyone wants to find her. Well, Finn Cole finds her in his barn out on their farm, sees that she's hiding out there. Well, they strike up a bit of a relationship. He's obviously attracted to her immediately. I think most people are when they see Margot Robbie. And so then he's now torn. I've got this fugitive sitting here in my barn. But then what do I do? Do I turn her in? But he's not living the best life. He has a stepdad, kind of abuses him, etc. He has a sister he's taking care of, so he's torn. Do I help this lady? Do I run away with this lady? Do I turn her in? What do I do? That's kind of the crux of this. She tries to talk him into there's a better life, there's a bigger life, there's more out there, things you can do. It's a medium plot. It kind of just like meanders along. You could sit there and hit pause and be like, the next scene, X, Y, and Z will happen. And you're probably going to predict it for the most part. I don't want to use the word predictable, but you can kind of see what's coming and kind of guess it. It is cool with a couple of just the set pieces and the scenery using the weather, because a lot of times these dust storms come through and that's what keeps destroying the town, and they use that as a character in the film. Robbie and Cole give good performances. Sometimes I do have to remind myself that Margot Robbie is not American, and she's always doing an accent whenever she's doing these American films, and if you remind yourself of that, you appreciate her better. Same with Finn Cole. You guys might recognize her from Peaky Blinders. That's where I know him from. They both give good performances. What I do want to shout out, though, is Miles Joris. I'm reading here because I'm going to mess this up. But Miles Joris Perafite, I believe is how you say his name. Second time feature film director here. He and working with the cinematography in this one, like I just mentioned, they have the storms that are a set piece and the character of their own. There's visions of going to the beach and running away together. Some cinematography in there is fantastic. And then there is one scene where they're in the shower. I know I told you Margot Robbie in the shower, but it's his character can't decide what to do. He's torn, and the shot pans him towards Robbie in the shower back. And so you are with his thought process going, do I stay with her? Do I trust her? Do I fall in love with her? And as that shot expands, you now bring her into the scene. I was just like, this is the best shot of the film by far. So if you're into filmmaking, check this out. It's VOD right now. You can rent it real quick and you won't be disappointed. I don't see anybody coming out of this film like, wow, that's great. Go check out Dreamland right away. But I think if you're into that sort of aspect of things where you want to see some good set pieces and cinematography, two good, strong performances, check out Dreamland.
That's good. Maybe a director to watch for the next feature.
Yeah, I'm going to circle his name just kind of going forward. I meant to look up the legit cinematographer on that one. But All right, you ready to cry? Talk about something else?
Sure. You were pretty excited about this one. The HBO Max gave us a nice Fresh Prince reunion. So what did you think?
Was not disappointed at all. I enjoyed it, man. It was nostalgia fest to the nth degree. Will gets together. They put the whole set back together. The entire living room is completely put back together. And he just brings each one of them in. And the entire cast is there. And he's just like, hey, do you remember your audition? Do you remember that time you had an audition? And just kind of like, he almost runs the interview process of them talking about the series and whatever. And then the huge moment, 2 amphibs. Yeah. 2 amphibs, baby. But it was crazy when then he shows him with the original Aunt Viv kind of reconciling
Yeah, I
face
didn't
to
really know
face.
that story as deeply, I guess, as they kind of get into it on the show, where they had a little bit of a falling out, and that was definitely an awkward part of it when they had to get together and kind of bury the hatchet. And it's a shame. It made me nostalgic for her because I was definitely a pro original Aunt Viv. Like
Oh,
that was the best seasons of the show were the first couple seasons, and when she was on there, I wasn't as big of a fan once they switched her out, and then once they
sure.
bring in the young kid, and he shows up there a little bit at the end, Ross Bagley, who was
Yeah.
also in Independence Day with Will Smith, and he played Buckwheat and Little Rascals. He kind of still looks the same.
Yeah.
But I wasn't as big of a fan. That was one thing I realized. I was like, I don't really remember some of those last couple seasons of. I might have fallen off the show actually, and then just came back to watch the finale because I don't know if I remember those last couple seasons. But original couple seasons of Fresh Prince, I was a huge fan.
Sure.
It was nice to see them talk as a family. Like they have such great chemistry still together, and as a family, like you could see them doing that show again right now, and they would just all fall back in their characters, and it would be great.
Speak it into the ether. Do it to him. Speak it.
Well, and then also just none of them have aged. Like the new Aunt Viv was maybe the only one who looked physically
Yeah.
different. I feel like all the rest of them look like they did in the 90s. So that was amazing to me. And they kind of touched on a little bit the importance of the show, the breaking of the barriers, some of the important messages they were trying to get along there with the comedy. And there were some emotional, nice stories that were embedded in Fresh Prince. So you would get that every once in a while. I teared up for the Uncle Phil bit. I really did. That was the only
Yes.
part that really got me. I miss James Avery. I thought he was a great actor. And then once they gave you a little more backstory on him and their experience with him during the making of the show, it was like, oh man, he would seem like a really great guy. So what
Yeah.
a loss for him not to be there. I felt like it was a little too long though, honestly.
Okay.
I was sitting there kind of checking the. I'm like, all right, really? This could have been like 45, and we could have been done. So
Sure.
maybe a touch too long for me, but yeah, it was good. Especially if you're a fan of the show, check it out, HBO Max. I'm glad that they did it, and it was fun. And like I said, I could see them getting together and doing it now. I would love to do that.
Yeah. The two things that stood out, one, Will admitting that he could never do the Carlton dance properly. Like he couldn't get that rhythm that only Alfonso Ribeiro can do. I thought that was funny. The two Aunt Vivs, the newer one, saying she never met her in life.
Yeah, that was weird. Yeah.
It was wild, and I guess it makes sense. The lady pretty much stopped acting after that. Just kind of like was run out of Hollywood, and thanks to Will Smith to a degree. But yeah, it was a fun little nostalgia fest. I agree with you. If you love the show, even not as much as I did, as much as we did, you still enjoy it. I thought I lost my thought on Avery, but either way, I'm with you on the James Avery. That was very
Yeah.
nice. The voice of Shredder.
Yeah, there you go. I'm hoping that personally we see maybe a resurgence in Janet Hubert's career. Like, let's
Yeah.
get her back in some stuff. She still looks good. She looks like she's in shape. She was a great actress back in the day. Let's get her back. Let's put her in some stuff. Come on. Are you listening? Steve McQueen, Ryan Coogler, any of these guys? Come on, get her in there. Get her as the mom in some movie. Do something. I want her back.
There's a movie that we're going to talk about in the Marvel section that they should cast her in.
There you go. And I think, just watching those clips of her doing the dances and those couple episodes that were like really iconic for her, I was like, man, she was great on that show.
Yeah, yeah. All right, let's move along. Here it is, folks. We're leading things off. I know you're listening to this while you're basting your turkey and you're getting ready for Thanksgiving, but we're going to start things off. Our holiday season reviews are now beginning. So shit on us for being early. Too bad, because you're probably going to get some type of Christmassy review from here for the next 7 weeks. You're welcome. And we're starting this one off with the Star Wars Lego Holiday Special.
Yeah, this was, I believe, about 45 minutes. So this felt right for me.
Yeah.
Maybe this one could have been a little shorter as well, but that felt about right, the runtime of this. It was okay, man. It was funny. It was cute. It was family, element. I watch a lot of these Lego type movies and stuff
Same.
anyways with the kids. They love them. So I love getting this like kid-friendly Star Wars stuff. It gets my daughter into it. She's not necessarily as big of a Star Wars kid, but she'll jump in on something like this and watch it. And it was fun just to get it had that time travel-y element of it with, almost like a Christmas Carol or It's a Wonderful Life or Back to the Future, something like that, where you're seeing different eras of Star Wars through Rey's experience. And then we were able to get that interaction of certain characters that we wouldn't have got in a live action setting. So that right there made it worth it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, no argument. I mean, you almost didn't need the holiday aspect of this. You could have taken that out.
Have you ever seen the original holiday special?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, that was what they were trying to do, was just kind of, since that's been so shoved to the side and hidden, George Lucas hates it, they were trying to kind of pay homage and bring it back, which they could have done more of that, in my opinion. Really, all they did was just include Life Day and Chewbacca's family. That was really, it, as far as referencing the old, holiday special.
Yeah, my son and I watch the Lego ones now on Disney Plus, but my wife doesn't, or she's just not familiar. So she watched it. I actually wound up watching this twice, kind of. And when she was watching, she was like, "Oh, they kind of make the Emperor kind of like cheesy." And I was like, "Oh, that's what these are all. That's It's very self-deprecating, making fun of things, and just."
But they definitely stepped that up. I feel like in this one, they almost put him on that like Robot Chicken level, like when they skew the show. And I was like, it's a little bit much. They definitely like did that too much for me. Maybe more than what I wanted to see. So
she also felt bad for Daisy Ridley, thinking that the Rey Lego looked really fat. And I was like, they're Legos. But some of the voice acting, too.
Well, yeah, that was what I was going to say. They only got a couple of the originals back. Rose, what's her name? Kelly Marie Tran, she came back. Anthony Daniels will not let anybody voice C-3PO but him. Like, he's always done it. And then you had Billy D show up for a couple of lines. And then your typical animation guys, Billy D or D. Bradley Baker and Tom Kane, they're always involved in these animated things like Clone Wars and stuff like that. So they were back, but that was it. Everybody else was somebody else doing the voice. So yeah, I thought the girl who did Rey was decent, but otherwise it was whatever. Of course, they had to shove Baby Yoda in there and Mando. That was good to see them in there.
I liked it. I liked the premise. I liked the going through time, hitting like almost every movie, making fun of almost every movie along the way. That's good stuff. I enjoyed it. It's a good like one-time watch,
Yeah, agreed. I don't know if it's going to be a tradition or anything like that. I did like having Yoda narrate in kind of like that Rudolph, Sam the Snowman kind of way. I thought that was kind of fun. Yeah. But yeah, I don't see myself wanting to be like, every year, kids, we got to watch the Lego Star Wars. Nah, it's not that good.
I do want to try Tip Yip.
Oh, sure. Yeah, why not? Yep.
Curious how that tastes. All right, let's move along. We're moving along. I knew that was coming. Gosh darn it. We have First Takes for you guys. First Take is when we usually watch an episode or a few of something new that's out, and we just kind of grab this first couple of eps, one or two, and then tell you our thoughts, and we'll come back around maybe if we like it, and then we'll give you the full review when it is all done. The first thing we're going to lead off right now is on Hulu and ABC is the TV show called Big Sky.
Yeah, and I think maybe is the key word of this review. Personally, I don't know if I'm going to stick with this show. Based on the first episode, I'm okay with it. It's an okay show. For me, I just kept thinking this shows the gap between scripted, regular network television shows and your cable streaming shows and what they're giving us. There is a big disparity in quality. I feel like this show is so much lower on that totem pole than some of the stuff we watch on Netflix, for example. David E. Kelley has a good track record. Big Little Lies was big for him. This, to me, just felt like he was trying to rip off Twin Peaks more than anything. And based on that, I felt like a lot of it was somewhat predictable, too. There's a good twist near the end of episode 1, so I'm not going to give any of that away. Get into it, watch it, make your own decision if you want to continue on. But I totally called that. I saw it was coming. I just didn't think... I thought a lot of stuff in the show was very telescoped.
Didn't see it was coming.
Yeah, but did you feel the same way? Did you feel like a lot of the stuff was very predictable and telescoped as where they were going?
Oh, sure. Yeah. All right. So here's one thing that we need to do. I'm trying to get these female listeners, buddy. Okay.
True.
And we are on tap. Something that we keep pointing out is a actress that we were attracted to in our youth, and holy crap, now they're playing mom roles. Well, I'm pretty sure, ladies, you were attracted to Mr. Ryan Phillippe in your youth, and now he's playing a dad role. So there you go. We're going to enter that into the ethos as well. It's like, here, we're going to even things out. I've always liked John Carroll Lynch. I think he's a good actor. He's one of those great actors that's in stuff. And again, one of those, maybe you don't know his name, actors type guys that you always
He's somebody I would love to do a spotlight on as a character actor.
Sure.
Him, what's the guy from Shape of Water? Richard... What's his name? Richard Jenkins. Somebody like that who just pops up in everything, and you're like, man, I always enjoy his work. Because my wife was like, what's this guy from? I was like, everything. He's in everything. I mean, I remember him most from like Fargo, maybe was the first thing I really remember him from, but it's 25 years ago. So yeah, he's had a really good career, and I like him here. I hope he becomes a bigger part of the show going forward. Because first episode he didn't get a ton to work with, but I think he will be better in further episodes. So I don't know. I'm on the fence if I want to keep up with it or not.
I'll say it. My mom texted, and it's funny because our parents are still all about network TV. It's weird. Sure. And just watched it, so good. So I watched it, then I texted back, hey, looks good. Really glad it's only 10 eps.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So then
I
they were
wasn't
like,
sure. I looked and I saw that they had filmed, I think, 5 so far, but
okay.
they had to move their production to Vancouver to try and avoid COVID protocol, things like that, whatever. So they're still not even done filming the whole first season.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, it's only listed for 10. Who knows? It might get extended. But they were like, why do you only want it to be 10? And I was like, I don't know. It just looks like, how much more of a story can we do here? It looks like it'll be a good 10 ep show. That's why I'm interested. If you're telling me this is a 22 ep season, I don't think I'm going to stick around.
No. And I hope it's just like a one-off show as well. Like I can't see this sustaining multiple. I mean, I guess they could if they wrote it correctly, but we'll see. I don't know. I'm just very on the fence about it. Reach out to us. Let us know if you disagree with us or you're really in or whatever, or maybe we swayed you away from giving it a shot. I don't know. I will shout out some of the other actors and actresses in here though too. I like Kylie Bunbury. I think she's really good, and I was a little taken aback by the fact that she's 15 years younger than Ryan Phillippe, and they had her as like a love interest. I was like, I don't like that.
Really? Good for Ryan Phillippe.
Catherine Winnick, I guess a lot of people know her from Vikings. I've never watched Vikings, but they're the two female leads kind of in the show, at least adult leads. We have the girls who are also in here, which that's a whole other thing. But then I want to shout out Dee Dee Pfeiffer is in the show. She's like the secretary at the private investigator place. That's Michelle Pfeiffer's sister.
Oh, wow.
But Michelle Pfeiffer's married to David E. Kelly. So I was like, maybe that's why she got the job. So I thought that was kind of fun to see her pop up in there.
Okay.
Brian Garrigy, I thought he played a good, like, creepy role in here.
Yeah.
I remember him from Boardwalk Empire. He had a nice little run on there. And then Jesse James Keitel plays one of the people who gets in a certain predicament in the first episode and makes history on this episode though, because he is the first non-binary series regular in a lead role on primetime television. So
that makes total sense. Okay.
Maybe I should say they, not she or he. So they.
Okay. When I first saw the actor on screen, my first thought was, I was not, that's a boy, that's a girl. So now that totally makes sense. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Good for them. Very cool.
There you go. But that was it. That was it for Big Sky. I've only seen the first episode so far. I'm on the fence. I think you are as well. Maybe I'll keep up with it. If you guys feel differently, reach out and let us know.
All right. The other first take that we had is something over on back to Disney Plus we go, and this is called Marvel 616. This is also 10 episodes, right?
I think it's 8. I think it's only 8.
I'm sorry, you're correct.
It is only 8. Right? Yeah, first week they dropped all 8. So, yeah, documentary series, Disney Plus, and like I said, they dropped the bingeable way, 8 episodes, and they've done this before with a couple other shows. Pop Culture, they kind of give us all right off the bat, and we just want to give a first take. We're probably not going to come back around to it, but it focus on different aspects of the Marvel universe from kind of the fan perspective and things like that. The first episode deals with the story of Japanese Spider-Man and things like that, and just tells you these interesting stories you may not know about Marvel history. There's one about them with their stage productions. It's called Spotlight. Maybe we should sue Marvel. I don't know. But they they convert their movies into stage productions for kids to do at school. There's some focus episodes on different artists, women artists in particular. Paul Scheer shows up in the one episode, and they're going to try and find forgotten characters from Marvel history. There's a whole thing about Funko and toys and collecting, and then Comic-Con experience and cosplay. So it just looks at a lot of different aspects of the way Marvel has affected our pop culture world and just our world in general, I guess.
I watched the cosplayer episode and the toys episode.
Okay, yeah.
And they were good. My first curiosity was they have a lot of shots of New York Comic-Con, and they're only following these Marvel cosplayers or that are going to be in Marvel. And I looked hard to see if they had any shots, because there's lots of crowd shots. And they did a really good job of not letting any non-Marvel characters.
That's got to be hard to do.
I can't imagine how they're like, all right, folks, if you see one Batman logo, nope, that doesn't make the cut. Nope. Yeah, but it was cool. And, you and I, we're friendly with actual professional cosplayers. We know a few. So it was very intriguing to me to see the whole process. It was really cool. A lot of art design and creating your stuff. The toy one was very cool. This one guy got into toy photography just because he was a photographer. And then someone asked him, hey, would you mind taking some shots of these toys? I'm trying to pitch them to a company. He did it. And then he was hooked on doing it. And then now he's the guy, he's a main guy for that a lot of marketing and production companies use to sell their toys.
Does he work for Al's Toy Barn, maybe?
He should. I think didn't store barn close anyway.
Gotta go all the way to work.
All the way. That's really sad.
Sorry.
I'm with you. This is fun. Throw it on if you have any interest. I don't see myself rushing out to knock these out, but I think over the course of time, if I got 45 minutes to kill, I'll watch the other ones.
Sure, same. I only had time to watch the Japanese Spider-Man one. It was interesting to see how they were dead set on bringing Spider-Man to a different culture and a different area of the world to make money, and they were able to just be like, change up the story, like change up the story for as much as we can to sell it to this market, because at that time their comic books just weren't selling to the Japanese market, and they couldn't figure out why. So then once they cracked the code and were able to produce this Japanese Spider-Man, it worked. But it's just so interesting how different it is and how they had to do that to play to the different market and a different kind of world. So yeah, I'll definitely keep up with it. I don't think we're going to talk about it, review it any further than this. It's there for you. It's interesting. Check out all the episodes. So like I said, I compared it to pop culture. A lot of different episodes. I like that they dropped them all at once. You can kind of pick and choose which one you want.
Yeah.
What fits your fancy a little bit more. So I'll watch them eventually. But yeah, it's there for you. Check out the Marvel 616 on Disney Plus.
That's it, folks. That's all our reviews for episode 215. We hope you enjoy them. Please do hit us up on all of those socials, Facebook, Instagram, and the Twitter. Of course, 434-602-1931. You can text or leave a voicemail there. Let us know your thoughts on anything that we've chatted about. How many boxes of tissues did you go through while watching Fresh Prince? My number is 2. Either way, let us know your thoughts on everything we've got. Now, here's a fun little shtick. I got to talk with Gigi Gustin. She's an up-and-coming actress that you guys should be checking out and watching her, because she has a lot of stuff coming forward in 2021. So here is our interview with Miss Gigi Gustin. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Take Two Podcast, and I have a fantastic interview that I've been looking forward to for kind of a couple of weeks now. We've been mismatching schedules and getting things together, and finally we were able to make it work. I'm joined by the phenomenal actress, Miss Gigi Gustin. Gigi, what's going on?
Woo! Hi. It's going good. It's going. How are things going with you?
Fantastic, and they're even better now that we have you on Take Two Podcast. All of Gigi's fans, please don't forget to subscribe and download our show. Give us a listen anytime you want. Now, we're going to get dark and dirty here. We're going to get into some deep topics here, talking about not only your acting career, but your real life, if that's okay with you.
Oof, I love it. Let's go there.
I already know some things, folks, that she can't talk about. And that's great, because that automatically makes me book her for later to say, hey, you got to come back and break the news on our show. So
yeah.
hopefully this goes well and we can get you back just for breaking news options.
Love it.
You are from New Jersey?
Yes, I am.
North or south?
South Jersey.
So you're an Eagles fan?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Okay. So there it is, folks. That was the end of the interview with Gigi Gustin. I hope you guys liked it. That was fun. I am a Giants fan. So anyway, all right, we won't hold that against you. Okay. You guys probably know her from season 2 of American Grit with John Cena. That's where she really blew up on the scene. But what you folks might not know is that she was in a Chuck E. Cheese's commercial at age 5.
I actually have a really funny story about that. My last Chuck E. Cheese commercial, I never got to finish because I was in a hot air balloon in front of a green screen, and we were all supposed to smile nicely and wave, and I kept cheesing super big just because I was hyper and being goofy and not listening, and I was shutting my eyes and squeezing them and just making this ridiculous cheese. And I just have this, I was so young, but I just have this flashback of everyone coming over to me being like, Gigi, smile nicely. Do you want to get a toy? Smile nicely. And I just could not do it. And I remember the feeling of being lifted up by my armpits out of the hot air balloon and sent home. My mom was so mad. And I never did another Chuck E. Cheese commercial ever again.
Luckily, your career survived that moment. I feel that all of your acting bios should lead off with like hashtag fired by Chuck E. Cheese.
I should put it on my business card, right?
Yes. The mouse came into the office and said, we're good to go. Let's fast forward a couple of years away from age 5 and move on to here. You are currently starring in a show called Bulge Bracket. It's on Amazon Prime. I will tell you this right now, miss. You are the first interview that I binge watched an entire series of. Tell me a little bit more about Bulge Bracket, which is currently available on Amazon Prime.
First off, thank you so much for watching. I'm glad. So Bulge Bracket is basically an ensemble office dramedy. It's centered around a really very talented actress named Jessica Vann. She's from NBC's Rush Hour. So she's the lead, and she begins her career at an investment bank just to discover that Wall Street is super sexist and ridiculous and not really understanding the sort of trials that she's going to go through. And what I love is about halfway through the season, when she's just starting to kind of get a grip on things, my character comes in. And so my character is like, the office flirt who is only there because of her connections. Her uncle works at the banking center. And basically, I'm so underqualified for the job. But because my character is this flirty, cute girl, I just use everybody else and all the other workers around me and manipulate the other men into helping me get my work done. And so Kathy, our lead, she gets frustrated with me, and I'm another kind of wrench in her process. It's like one thing after another. The second things go good, it's like, hi, Kathy, this is Rosie. So I actually love that I get to come in and kind of make some ripples in the water.
You can definitely tell because you come in episode 4 and the vibe of the show definitely changes. The show I felt has like a little Glengarry Glen Ross, a little bit of Office, like a mixture of all those type of Office dramas, and I was enjoying it. It's good stuff.
Good. I'm glad. Well, thank you so much for watching it. I wasn't crazy excited at first when I had been asked to audition. I was like, oh, this is another dumb blonde role. However, though, the way my character is introduced and the way my character comes into the season, like you said, I do think it adds a lot. It's a wrench in the process. And then also, I've come to the conclusion that Rosie, my character, she's not dumb. She uses what she has. And to me, I think that's intelligent.
Now, not to go too deep, but in the era that we are with the Me Too and equality, and things are progressing in such a great way right now in Hollywood and in real life, there definitely had to have been moments with your character. They're like, okay, as you finish the scene, boom, you're going to walk down the hallway. Every man is going to now stare at your caboose. Was there any hesitation there with you with that going forward? Or was it more of, no, this character uses what she's got to get ahead, and that's just where we are?
You know what? Not at all. Zero hesitation. Part of that, I would like to say I'm so thankful to the casting crew making me feel comfortable and respected as a person to be able to fully play this character and fully commit to the idea of being, an over-sexualized woman in the workforce. And I think that it would be wrong to not have that character because that is real life, that those things do happen even in an office space. So as long as you have the right cast and crew, I'm all in. I'm all in to do the thing. One of my inspirations is Margot Robbie, and I had heard a story that said that in Wolf of Wall Street, she had the option to not be naked in the one scene when she reveals herself to Leonardo DiCaprio. And that Margot Robbie said, you know what, no, my character, she has to be naked because her body is her weapon. And I just love that she goes so far in that direction and being committed to her character that as long as I'm working with the right cast and crew, I'm going to be the same way. I am all in on serving the story, serving the character. It's not just about Gigi and her role. It's also the entire message and how I squeeze into that. So I'd be doing a disservice if I were to gyp anybody of those little moments that my character has to have of being over-sexualized.
God, that was an incredible response. Very cool. Now, since we're talking about over-sexualized stuff, I want to check off another box here that I had to do. Never before in an interview have I watched a music video. And you were in a music video, goddamn. We're riding a bull. We're country line dancing. How much fun was it to make this music video?
I've got another great story for you. I'm actually glad you brought this one up. This music video was a lot of fun. I don't do very many music videos anymore. For a hot second when I first moved to California, I was doing all of the rapper music videos. I've been in Travis Scott's. I've been in multiple of Tyga's. So this was the last one I did actually for rap. And at one point, I mean, of course, I actually love bull riding and I love the whole cowgirl vibe. So I actually asked the director, I said, can I actually ride that? So I did give them my license and sign a release. And then everyone else wanted to do it. And I was like, okay. But then we did a big dance circle at the end. I don't know if you saw. And they picked a couple of the girls to come up and dance in the middle of it. So, this is, it's the culture. It's all the rappers. So, of course, all the girls are getting in the middle and shaking their booty and twerking. And so what I did when it was my turn was I got in the middle and I did the worm.
That's so great.
And I dropped into a split and I was all proud of it. And the director and everyone actually thought it was super fun. and then it never made the cut. And I was like, I should have known. But I'm like, but I did it. I went against the current. Everyone shook their booties, and I did the worm. Like,
all right, folks, I don't want to mislead you right now on Miss Gigi. She does not just book roles for her looks. She has done some very in-depth things. She's been in some projects a lot of horror projects, some dark and gritty stuff. One thing I want to chat with you about is a movie called Isaac that's upcoming next year. I actually know Josh Weber. We've had him on our show before.
Oh, Josh is great. Love Josh. That movie has been incredible to work on. I actually auditioned for the lead, which Dove Cameron is playing. But of course, this was before Dove Cameron signed on.
Yep.
And but Josh and I had a pretty good connection, a really good mutual respect for each other's artistry, and he said, we're gonna get you in there somewhere. So I am in the film, but I don't want to give away too much just yet.
Ooh, I like that. Okay, I like the teaser. Now, more stuff you've got coming forward, and this one actually looks pretty wild, or the premise at least that I was reading up was Junkie Monster. 3 addicts come back for a funeral, but then when they get back together, stuff happens.
Yes. So Junkie Monster, we are actually in pre-production. I am co-producing and acting in this film. We are currently trying to get funding. So you know how that goes, even especially right now.
Okay. Yeah, big time. And let us know if there's any way we can help with that, like sharing a link for funding or any of that type of stuff. We'd love to help out. You got to work again with Sam Gonzalez, or you're going to. You worked with him before in Springfield 3. That's pretty cool.
I worked with Sam a couple times.
Yeah.
I did the Springfield 3 with Sam, which was really great because he's a very talented writer and director. And I actually, way too young, watched the movie The Human Centipede. Have you seen it?
Oh my God, why did you watch it so young? What's wrong with you?
Because I'm crazy. I'm one of those weirdos that plus I wasn't allowed to watch it. So it was like every time I'd go to my friends' houses, she would be like, have you seen The Human Centipede? And so I'd watch it. But it's funny, it's one of my first horror films that I had seen. And when I did the Springfield 3, I got to work with one of the lead actresses from The Human Centipede, which I thought was like, wow, that's kind of crazy how things come back around.
You're in Asteroidageddon coming out soon, and that's with Eric Roberts, but then also Veronica Issa, who you were with in Fast and Fierce.
Yeah, so Asteroidageddon is out right now, and Fast and Fierce actually just played on Showtime, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
Fast and Fierce, it's so funny. I have a scene with DMX, and a lot of my fans like went crazy for it. They're like, wow, Gigi and DMX. But our scene is a phone call scene, so they actually recorded us both, or they filmed us both separately, and then they stitched it together. So we've never actually met or worked together. Really sorry to burst everybody's bubble, but it looks that way, and we appear on screen together, so that's cool.
We're circling back to more music videos. You're in a Papa Roach music video.
Just dropped, I think is, or let me give a little background so this all makes sense.
Please do.
So at first, there was a label that was Better Noise Music. They became super established. They've got all the big rock bands, Escape the Fate, Motley Crue, Papa Roach. And so eventually they wanted to expand and start making movies. So The Retaliators is their second film. For promotion purposes, they put a lot of their band members into the film, of course. And then all of their songs are making up the soundtrack. So most of the soundtrack, we have now made music videos for those bands, but they're all in collaboration with the film and somehow tie in scenes from the movie. And I have a really intense scene with Jacoby Shaddix, the lead singer of Papa Roach. So that's why I was the lead girl in the music video called The Ending. And there's a little foreshadowing, the ending, wonder what happens to me. But that was also directed by Sam. We've got a really good flow going on, him and I. We just get each other. Everything he does is so visually stimulating. I even told him, I was like, I'm not really into doing music videos anymore. And he's like, well, listen to this idea. And so I was like, okay, I'm in. All
right, so you've got so much going on right now, but how has the last couple of months been with the pandemic, and how has acting, because I know for a lot of actors it's just been nothing and it's been very barren. How have you been able to maintain and survive, and are you ready for things to kick back up?
It's an understatement. I am more than ready to pick things back up. I have been so lucky that I have filmed a couple things through the pandemic. Okay. We did some pickup shots for The Retaliators, the film I was just speaking of. And I actually did Asteroidageddon, was my first movie that I did since the shutdown. The second LA opened up, the next day I had a job working Asteroidageddon. And then I actually, directly after those two films, I hopped on a third one, which is the one I can't yet talk about, but I will be able to soon. So I'm really excited. So I actually filmed 3 movies during the shutdown, and I had a small part actually in a fourth, which a Deadline article just came out about. It's called The Last Deal. So I've been lucky to be working, but for me, that's still a couple months of nothing really. And I struggle really hard with the self-tapes. I always tell people, like, you can be a good actor and bad at self-tapes. It's a whole craft of its own. So yeah, for like 2 or 3 months, I was like, I've beat the pandemic. I'm working constantly. But then it stopped, and I've finally started to get callbacks for self-tapes, and I've kind of learned and mastered kind of the craft behind self-tapes and getting the callback and actually getting the job. So I actually have a self-tape I have to do tonight. So I thank the pandemic for teaching me self-tapes, but it's difficult for not being able to not go in person and feel the other person's energy and have conversations and ask questions. It's like, how do you stand out? But quarantine has forced me to figure that out.
Folks, GigiGustin.com, Gigi Gustin for Instagram, and then Gigi Gustin 0 on Twitter. That's how you can follow her, and we will tag you in all of our stuff so that people can follow you easily there. You've got Junkie Monster, Asteroidageddon, you've got Retaliators, Isaac. You have a loaded 2021 and all sorts of things coming forward. So I pray that you do come back on, chat with us, and you teased us on like 3 things that you have to come back and give us this breaking news on later.
I will.
Awesome. Folks, despite her being a Philadelphia Eagles fan, follow Gigi Gustin. She's a phenomenal actress, and I can't wait to see where her career goes. Gigi, thank you so much for being on Take Two Podcast.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
All right, brother. That's it for you guys on listening to the audio. We're going to take a quick breather and be right back. Is that for the YouTubers or watching us?
I took a nice breather, yeah.
That was a nice breather as opposed to a bad breather. Okay. Superhero Secret Cinema, pal. For as great as last week was, this week not so much. It was kind of a bummer.
No, it was very, very light. I feel like it was a light social week overall. Same with the poll, wasn't very, big. I don't know if people are just preparing for the old Turkey Day and whatnot, but it had some synergy as usual, I think.
I gotta be honest, making this energy work, it's a difficult chore at sometimes, but sure. We made it work. It happened because Sarah Paulson was in a movie called 12 Years a Slave.
And guess who directed that movie?
Yeah, same synergy. Yeah, when you said it earlier, I was like, son of a bee. Yeah, that was the other synergy I was going for. But those are the characters that we threw out, and Craig, he nailed it. Steve from Everything I Learned from Movies podcast. Jumped on there right away, and he was smart enough to message us on the side so nobody could steal his answer. Well done, Steve.
Those DMs, baby.
We're going to talk about Steve in a few more minutes over on our PodRec section. Cats, my new favorite game is Cats Answering Wrong.
Yeah. I feel like what did he come up with this week?
Snatch.
I think last week was like Phantom Menace. He's just throwing out whatever movie, I guess. I don't know.
Keep them coming. It's still cool, man.
It's fun.
I love it. But folks, that's it. That's all I have. That's only a couple of people answered on that one, but that's okay. We'll knock it out again next week. I already know next week's.
Okay.
And if you paid attention to our socials this weekend in any capacity, I've given you the answer for next week's.
Damn. Okay. Nice. I think I know what it is already myself.
Yes, because it of course will have synergy and everything with the spotlight. What have you? All right, 3 trailers to talk about. Let's jump on to some trailer talking.
Yeah. We reviewed New Mutants last week, and this is another movie that's just like New Mutants, where it's like, is this real? Does this actually exist? And this is Chaos Walking. This was apparently filmed like 3 years ago, and we finally got to see a trailer for it. And Tom Holland looks like a freaking baby in here. Looks pre-Spider-Man. And Daisy Ridley, she was already in the Star Wars world at that point, but not quite as known. So yeah, it's interesting that this movie's just been sitting on the shelf for a couple years. It looks okay to me though. Actually, it doesn't look as bad as I thought. Yeah,
very sci-fi, so you got to be down that niche. I'm in. I thought it looked cool. I like Ridley and Holland a whole bunch.
Cynthia Erivo pops it real quick in the trailer as well.
Ooh, lovely. What's it called? Ridley with the blonde hair. Essentially, we live in a world where there are no more women, and can the men see each other's thoughts, or only she can see men's
No,
thoughts?
I thought they could as well. I don't know.
The men can too?
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
so.
I'm thinking something now. Can you hear it?
Nope.
Okay, so it's
Chaos
only the
is not
women.
walking online.
Gotcha. I don't know. January 22nd is supposed to come out.
Sure.
I'm in.
I don't think I'd rush to see this in the theater, but an at-home watch, why not?
Maybe. I'm with you.
Yeah. We also got a first look, I don't think we've seen a trailer yet for this one. This is Pieces of a Woman, and this is coming to Netflix in January. This actually was a big hit earlier this year on the film festival circuit. I think at Cannes, it was a big winner, and won for Vanessa Kirby. So I'm in on this. I think it looks like an interesting story and a good performance, and I think I've heard buzz for Ellen Burstyn as well, as far as maybe getting a nomination.
It looks very performance driven for sure, very dramatic. I mean, even LaBeouf looked pretty dramatic in his role. You know, you and I are on record of saying there's a great actor inside of Shia LaBeouf.
Sure.
It's just, when do we get it outside of his off the field stuff? But no, man, it looks like we're going to go into an emotional ride from all three of these actors.
Yeah, and Netflix is definitely poising it as part of their Oscar run. They have a lot of movies that they're really going to throw at the Oscars this year, and this is one. So I wouldn't doubt it if we see a couple acting noms come out of it.
Very cool.
And then lastly, for me, I don't know that I saw any other ones, was Sister of the Groom. And the only reason I wanted to throw this your way is because of your old girl, Alicia Silverstone, in here.
Alicia. What's up, Batgirl? She's in there. We've seen this movie before.
Sure we have. Yeah. But it's just funny to see her in this kind of role now. I don't know.
Yeah,
she hasn't really been doing much for years.
I was more excited to see Tom Everett Scott, to be honest.
True, yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. This looks like this is definitely a VOD. I'm not going to the theaters for this.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Her brother's getting married.
Might be a fun little rom-com to sit around with the wife, come Valentine's Day and watch a little VOD or whatever.
And do that whole, remember Alicia way back in the As If days?
Yeah, what was she in? Oh, the Aerosmith videos, yeah.
What if that was all she was ever known for?
Yeah, that would leave most of us clueless. But that's it for our trailers for this week.
Solid.
I believe you wanted to give us a little pod recommendation, though, for this week.
Right on back to Steve from Everything I Learned from Movies podcast. Steve and Izzy have this pod. They do the seasonal thing.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Many pods out there do that. We're losers, and we just go straight on through with our show.
All the time, yep. Every week I got to look at you.
Never stresses us at all. No, but their show is good. They take movies that are not great, or like on the fence of being great, or like
kind of like cult classic-y,
Yeah. And then they kind of they break them down. They break them down tooth and nail, all from the beginning to the end, and give you all the nuances of it. The actors involved, the directors, and the box office, all those kind of fun things. And they usually have a guest on as well. That kind of jumps in there with them, someone that might know more about that film or not. And we might be having a little something in the works with us jumping onto their show in 2021. But for now, EILM, everything I learned.
EILFM.
EILFM. Everything I learned from movies, podcasts. They're on all your podcast. Everywhere you find us, you'll be able to find these guys. And it's a fun show. I knocked out 2 eps. I did Minority Report and then one of the other ones from the recent season. And it was good. It was fun to listen to. They have good chemistry between the two of them and a good audio quality. So it's good.
Sure. I remember back in the day, I listened to, maybe it was a couple episodes that they did back in the day because they had guest starred on More Gooder Than when More Gooder Than was still around. And that was how I found them probably 2 years ago. And I listened to a couple of their interviews. Every once in a while, they'll throw some interviews in their feed. And nice. I think it was like Thomas Jane or something. I was like, how'd they get Thomas Jane on their show? Like, they had some pretty good interviews on their feed as well. So they kind of interspersed those throughout the season. So, yeah, I'm familiar with their work as well. And just a reminder, just to shout it out, I forgot about this, More Gooder Than came back with a secret episode. I loved it. I was so pumped that, Chris texted me on the side. He's like, check your feed, check your podcast app. And I was like, oh, damn it. And it was, in honor of Sean Connery passing. They felt the need to get back together and record an episode and focus on Sean Connery. So if you were a fan of the old More Gooder Than before it went away, a year and a half ago or so ago, then they're back for a one-off episode. So check them out.
I want to do that. After we hit 5 years, we'll go off the air.
Then just do one like every once in a while.
And then come back.
Yeah.
And see if anybody even notices.
Where in the 4-5?
We're going to have to text a whole lot of people. Can you subscribe back and listen to this one off? All right. That's our PodRec. You were thirsty over the weekend, pal.
That's right. I forgot I was going to talk about that. Yeah. I was texting you guys while I was watching the football. I felt like celebrating a little bit. and I broke out a little heavy beer and text you a picture of what I was drinking. So this is more of a report back than a recommendation because you can't really get this beer now. Every Black Friday, the Goose Island Beer Company releases their Bourbon County stouts, and this is a thing they've been doing for probably 10 years now. I've been in on it for the last maybe 6 or 7 since I've been a kind of beer snob and in that community, and it's a big thing. You go try, and people wait outside the stores to get these releases. They're very limited, whatever. The last couple of years, I've just been getting the very basic release because they've become more prevalent, more easy to get. So I'll just pick it up when I go to Wegmans or whatever, and it's there. But last year, I had the luck to find one of the special variants, and this was the Mon Chéri Stout. And it's a 14%er, and this thing was delicious. Because usually what I do is I'll let them sit for a year. It even says in the bottle you can let them age for about 5 years because they've already aged in bourbon barrels. So if you want to let them sit longer, it kind of increases the taste and whatever. So I will usually do that. I'll kind of keep a rotation going. So I'll let them sit for a year, and then I'll get the new ones, and I'll put that one in the cellar, and then I know it's there for me next year. So that's my system. But the Mon Chéri Stout was delicious. Tasted like chocolate-covered cherries. I loved it. So I am hoping to get my hands on maybe some of the other variants this year when I go out and shop post-Black Friday. Because they always have a coffee variant as well, and I can never get my hands on it. That's always the most popular one to go. So hopefully I can grab that one this year.
I'll have to look Goose Island, Bourbon County. Goose Island, the Bourbon Coffee Stout. That's what I'm looking for on Friday for you?
Yeah, if you can find it. Or, I mean, even just the regular variant that they come out with every year is always reliable. I think that one's like a 15%er. So I still have last year's that I'm going to drink later this week as well. So that one's in my fridge cooling right now.
Beautiful. All right.
Yeah, it's a fun little game I play every year.
Okay, nice. I thought for a second you were going to recommend just Budweiser Heavy, but I'm glad you didn't. Okay.
No, definitely not. Definitely not.
Cool. All right, on to the casting couch.
That's right. We still have more news to talk about. I got to go to the back of my page.
We're about to get good here. Clear Lake. This movie is a Buddy Holly biopic that we'll be doing. Colin Hanks, Diane Guerrero, and Nelly have been added to the cast.
Nelly's playing... Oh, never mind.
Nelly's playing Chuck Berry.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. Chuck.
I'm available if they need a big boss.
Cousin, Marvin. Marvin Berry. He'll be playing Chuck Berry. But Rory O'Connor, kind of a newcomer, will be playing Buddy Holly in this one.
Okay, I'm available for Big Bopper. I'm just putting it out there.
There it is. Speak that.
Big Bopper, hello, baby.
Done. That was a great audition tape, too.
Perfect.
Brilliant. The Adam Project, Ryan Reynolds, he's sticking with Netflix, man. Reynolds, Jennifer Garner, Zoe Saldana, all in this film.
Wow.
Not too shabby. The director's the same guy that's doing Free Guy with Reynolds. So we already know that they have a relationship there if we ever do get to see Free Guy. Stranger Things Season 4 has added 8 new actors, including Freddy frickin' Krueger, baby. Robert Englund is going to be in Stranger Things Season 4.
I'm pumped about that. I love the character description, too. Victor Creel, an imprisoned man in a psychiatric hospital from a 1950s murder. That's awesome. I can't wait to see. Hopefully that means he's more than just a cameo. He'll actually be a big role.
Nice. I like it too. Netflix is doing the live action Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah. I think they had already announced that with John Cho starring, right? But now they've kind of fleshed out the rest of the cast.
Yeah, exactly. Jeff Stoltz will be the top guy in there, and then a whole bunch of other cast members. Buddy, I saw someone else put this on socials, and someone commented underneath it with a gif of Bebop from Ninja Turtles.
Yes, Bebop and Rocksteady, yeah.
I still don't know what Cowboy Bebop is because I was like, yeah, cool, turtles, that's neat. And then I dove deeper. I was like, oh no, Cowboy Bebop is something totally different. So
it's like Japanese anime, manga, whatever, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, boomer over here had no clue, but there you go. Last thing is 10 brand new characters and the love interests for Joe have been announced. Michaela McManus is going to be the love interest, possible victim of Joe in You Season 3.
Oh, okay. You're still in on that show, right?
Not one bit.
Oh, I thought you were going to watch.
I mean, I watched Season 2 sucked. And I know that's a point of contention. Some people still liked it, but compared to 1, 2 was not great. I did not enjoy it.
You're not going to stay with 3. Because Netflix is going to cancel it after the 3rd season anyways.
That's valid. If it's over 6 eps, I'm out.
Mark it down right now.
6 and under, I'll watch it.
You mark it down. That show will be canceled after the 3rd season. Guaranteed. So. All right, I saw Bullet Train, directed by David Leitch. I think we had already announced this movie was coming with Brad Pitt, but they've rounded out the cast. They added Lady Gaga, Logan Lerman, Joey King is in here, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Zazie Beetz, Brian Tyree Henry, and Michael Shannon. So that is quite a cast. I'm looking forward to it. It's supposed to be kind of almost Snowpiercer-y, if I remember right, when we talked about it the last time, where it's just a bunch of assassins on a train together. So all these different characters are going to be playing, I guess, assassins. So sounds fun.
That sounds a lot of fun, especially if they like kill people in different ways, you know.
And then I also saw there's still in talks with, but Joaquin Phoenix may be leading the next Ari Aster film, which is supposed to be called Beau is Afraid. And it's based on a short that he did in 2011, Ari Aster. But he's already said that this film is going to be 4 hours long. 4-hour nightmare comedy is the way he's marketing it. Wow. So I don't know what is with Ari Aster, why he cannot make a short movie off the bat. Like, please. Midsommar was a little too long. And then he went and released the director's cut, which is even longer.
So, goodness.
But I like the idea of having them teamed up together. That's good. I'd like to see them work together.
4 hours is already 2 movies that are both too long for me to watch.
There you go. Yeah.
Like two hours. I'm still just like 2 hours, really?
I think that was all the casting news I had, though.
We are taking one more break, and we'll be right back for the third act of our show. I goofed up the breakout earlier. I messed up, even though you wrote it in actual words and ink right in front of my face. But I will say right now, for you YouTube watchers, I'm not sure what's glowing off of Tony's stomach, but it's like bouncing up into your face.
Oh.
Whatever is bouncing off of the desk.
Well, I have the window open here, so it's just the sunshine coming in.
It is. It's like you're telling a scary campfire story right now. It's like,
okay. Well, because it's so windy, so the leaves and stuff are moving.
Oh, okay.
We're doing like a little light show. Yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. Number one film you are pumped to watch for Christmas season is now starting.
Ooh. Well, I actually already watched a couple. Yeah, I did. I threw on Christmas Vacation because I saw it was on. Cool. But then I didn't really sit and watch it. I watched a couple scenes. I was doing stuff around the house, whatever. Yeah, that's what I love those movies for. There was just the comfort food level of it. You can just put it on whatever area it's at. You're gonna love it. But I will say the one I did sit and watch last night, start to finish, on the couch, loved every minute. Home Alone. I was in. I was
30 years. 30 years that shit's been out. Can you believe that?
I was sucked in, man. I was like, I'm watching the Home Alone right now, and the one thing I took away again was John Williams does not get enough credit for that score. I love that score.
Valid. Yeah. All right, let's do some Hollywood news.
Sure. We're getting Pink Panther back. Did you know that?
The cartoon?
Yeah, well, we're getting a reboot of Pink Panther from the Sonic director, Jeff Fowler. So they said, I think they're going to make Pink Panther like the main character who is the detective now, and do it with a mix of live action and animation. So instead of like, the Steve Martin version or, whatever, that's the way they're going to roll it. So I like Sonic. I thought it was good. I thought it was well done. After they redid the artwork originally and all that, it was good. So we'll see. Maybe it'll reintroduce a new generation to Pink Panther.
Sure. Okay.
Sadly, Coming to America got bumped all the way to March. It was originally announced for December. So that also changed up our calendar, our schedule a little bit. So we'll be getting Eddie next year in March. So Coming to America on Amazon Prime in March 5th. We're getting another Predator film. The 5th in the series is going to be directed by Dan Trachtenberg, who did 10 Cloverfield Lane. I love 10 Cloverfield Lane. I think it's very underrated. Mm-hmm. There's still no kind of story beats yet, though. Is it going to be a sequel to this one or that, or where does it take place? What is it, a prequel? Who knows? I personally would like to see them just do like a sequel to the original, like some of the movies have done recently, like Halloween and such like that. Like, let's reboot the whole franchise, but we're going to do it as a sequel to the original. I think that would be a good way to go with it. So
okay, nice.
And then lastly for me, I saw Angelina Jolie has a new job directing Unreasonable Behavior, which is based on the life story of British war photographer Dan McCullen, who worked during World War II and Vietnam. And this is going to be produced by Tom. No other casting information or anything like that yet, though.
Wow. Okay. Interesting.
Very cool.
Name That Tune is being rebooted. Your hosts for that are going to be Jane Krakowski and Randy Jackson.
Okay.
It's funny that came up. That was a really weird, awkward thing because someone from last week, I think it was MDX Pods, maybe commented last week on the Superhero Secret Cinema and said that they got it after only like 3 characters, something to that effect. Either way. And I was thinking, oh, well, you would be the champion of like Name That Tune or whatever.
There you go. There you go.
And then, boom, spoke that into these.
And I have I don't know if you see it behind me, I have a samurai sword on the wall that has Randy Jackson's autograph. No. That's a Step Brothers reference. Sorry.
Oh, yeah, sorry. A&E is developing a show called Blood Brothers,
Oh,
which is going to explore the relationship between Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X.
okay. We're
I'm
getting
wondering
a
if
fantastic movie that's already doing that, so no need.
I was just going to say, did they just see One Night in Miami and say, hey?
Which actually we didn't talk about in trailer talk because we've already seen the movie, but they've dropped the trailer for that finally. So if you guys are interested in that movie at all, the trailer's out there. It's a great movie. Check out the trailer. Coming, I think, January to Amazon Prime.
Lethal Weapon 5. Heavy rumors. It's a go.
They're not too old for this shit, I guess.
Well done. Well, I was waiting for it. Good job. Scream 5. We have a name. Scream.
I mean, what are you going to call it?
I'm
glad they didn't do like Scream with like a 4 in it or one of those stupid things.
Sure. Well, I mean,
or
it's very.
5.
Did Bart, I think, maybe commented, or maybe it was you, buddy, that mentioned like it's very what Halloween has just done.
Yeah, sure.
You know, they're kind of essentially rebooting, and
I kind of am against that in the past, but again, it's a recent trend that's worked. Because I really hated when they did it with The Thing, and they just called it The Thing again, and it wasn't anywhere near as good, and it was actually a prequel, and I don't do that again. But the Halloween has done it the right way, and yeah, what else are you going to call it? I don't want it to be like Scream the Return or some bullshit, the final chapter. Like, we don't need all that. That's very 90s.
Season 2. The weird thing is that we know this because they wrapped all their filming. They're all done. Everything's done. Why do we got to wait till 2022?
That's weird. I still don't understand why they're releasing it like that. They should put it out Halloween 2021.
Yeah. Can't they have it? Yeah, next Halloween. Have it done by then. Why wait till January? I'm sure they have the reasons.
I don't know. There was another movie I just saw wrapped filming as well. Shoot, I forget what it was. There's a few that have just recently gotten the can, so we are getting some movies in the future again, which is nice to know.
Tina Fey is going to be hosting a Salute to Broadway special on NBC December 10th at 8 p.m. Loaded with stars. Dude, it's really wild. Well, the light that like beams off of you. I'm sorry for anyone just listening. You're going to have to go to our YouTube page to see this, but it's pretty wild. It's just a little campfire.
It's just the leaves, man. The leaves are flaming in the wind.
Flame on. That's you. Anyway, a Broadway thing. Tons of Broadway folks. There are too many to even write down a list right now. A whole bunch of Broadway folks are going to jump on there, do some songs, do some plays. Jakey Boy is the one I'll throw out there. But Faye's, I'll be interested to watch that. The Australian Academy of Cinema and TV Association. Ever heard of it?
The ACTAVs, yeah, whatever.
AACTA. They are brand new, and they have a new president and vice president.
4.
So close. A little bit older. We need some. Oh, that was the one I would have guessed too. Russell Crowe and Nicole Kidman.
Oh, a little unhinged, baby. All right.
Yeah. So they've already come out, and they're the president and vice president. They've already come out and given 2 honorary awards to start things off before they start their award season for when they start doing things. They gave one to best comic book love interest. And they gave it to Nicole Kidman for Chase Meridian. And then they gave Best Singer on Film, and they gave that to Russell Crowe. Crazy.
Okay. Just rewarded themselves.
All right, joking about the awards. But they are now in charge of the Australian Academy, blah, 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 the ACTA. Okay. More studios are being released. Permanent content. This is Sam Mendes and then his agent, Adam Gertler. They just started their own little production thing. They're going to be doing a lot of documentary and then scripted films going forward, focused on issues that youth are facing today.
Ooh, okay.
If you're a Sam Mendes fan and what have you, they started their own little production company. And lastly, folks, I will tell you this right now, beginning on December 8th, Tony will be done watching new shows to review for all of you, because on Amazon Prime, all 8 seasons of Mad About You are getting dropped. Boom.
I've never watched one episode of Mad About You.
Wait, really? Never?
Yeah, no, I just was never that's the Paul Reiser?
Yeah, Helen Hunt, Paul Reiser.
No, was never in on that show.
Even more so, he'll be watching Mad About You's.
I'll tell you what, that Prime though, they've been teasing me. They put Scrubs on there recently. They got Community. I was like, ooh, you guys are trying to get me to just press play. And then with you doing the Lost thing, I've been talking about rewatching Lost for a while. I'm like, ooh. You might lose me to the podcast, though. That's the problem. If I go down that rabbit hole, I'm not watching anything else.
You can just talk about this other stuff. That's it for my news. Let's move on to DC discussion.
All right. The big DC news of the week, like I said, I kind of wished it into existence last week, is that we are getting Wonder Woman 84 at home earlier than we even previously thought. So officially dropping on Christmas Day, HBO Max, and in theaters. I'm pumped. I would go watch it in theaters, but if it's going to be an HBO Max, I'm probably just going to stay home. Who am I kidding? I'm probably just going to stay home and watch it.
I can't decide. I'm with you. I'm happy. I'm super happy they're doing this. I'm happy they're not like waiting 2 weeks, blah, blah, blah. I can tell you right now, folks, we will have a review for you that
Sure.
week after Christmas, because we will both be watching it. I still have that draw to still go see it. I feel like these movies are made for the theater.
And you feel like you want to support. You want to support the art. You want to support the studios, the theaters, all this stuff to try and keep them open. I do feel that somewhat. And I saw Patty Jenkins even had been on socials kind of tweeting about it, like, hey, get into these rentals. Do the theater rental with you and a bunch of people and go watch it, whatever. So it is an idea and it's out there. But also Christmas is like, we're doing stuff with family and things like that. Like, I don't know if I typically don't go out to the movies on Christmas personally. I'll go that weekend though for sure, and we do historically do that as a family. So it's like maybe.
True. Episode 220, we will have a Wonder Woman 84 review for you guys. There you go.
There you go. Then we won't have a Black Widow one. I'll tell you that.
They are steadfast on that.
They are.
Anytime they're asked, like, nope, theaters. Any other DC for you?
No, that was all I saw.
Oh, we did get announced that Black Lightning will be done, season 4.
Sorry.
Tony's now done recording. Hopefully that wasn't your drink on your just the pen. Okay. So season 4 will be the final season for Black Lightning. So I guess we're just gonna Painkiller spin-off and Black Lightning will be done, and then on to Painkiller next season.
That's interesting because it was week after week that we announced those news items, and I forgot that we saw that. And I remember when I saw that, I was like, well, I wish they would have just spun off the girls into their own show instead of
100%.
Yeah. I like Painkiller, and I wonder if the girls are going to factor into his show, because I'd hate for their story to just end. I feel like that was the whole idea of Black Lightning, was building them up.
Right. True.
So.
Agreed all around. The Green Lantern series that's coming to HBO Max is going to be an anthology-style series, we're learning. We're going to focus on the 40s, the 80s, and today with different Green Lanterns.
So they can do differently. Okay, that makes sense.
The 40s is going to be all about Alan Scott. The 80s would be about Guy Gardner and Bree Jarda. And then today would be on Jessica Cruz and Simon Baz. That totally makes sense. Bree Jarda is brand new. They're inventing this character for the show.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's
So is that official, though? It's only going to be 3 seasons, or that's the official plan so far, and it might go further? Or
the way I read it, that's so funny you say that. The way I read it made me think that they would be jumping back and forth in one season, but with the anthology series, it would be the other way around. I don't know. Maybe it'll just be the 3.
Okay.
Darkest day, brightest night. What was I going to say? Oh, Zack Snyder. The only Zack Snyder talk that we have is when you do finally see this Justice League, it's going to be 2.5 hours of unseen footage. So stuff that you have not seen. So all the stuff that he did shoot, plus this additional shooting he got to do, will be legit 2.5 hours of unseen Justice League footage.
But is it just unseen in the sense of, like, here's another take of basically what we already saw? Like, I feel like a lot of it is going to be that.
See, I disagree. I feel we're going to get an entirely different story. I think it's going to be a different storyline.
Okay, I don't know.
But just the fact that they're showing Darkseid at all tells me it's going to be a different story. Either way, here's something I'm not interested in. Apparently, that black and white, the black and white trailer we got, it's nudging him towards we may get a black and white film, the whole thing released to IMAX in black and white.
Ooh, okay. And I just said last week, like, I would be intrigued to watch it in black and white. That would be an added bonus, I think, of it.
He did dispel the rumors. No Justice League 2 or 3 for him. He's done with Justice League once this is all gone. He still, maybe Man of Steel 2 down the road, but he would be interested in directing one of their animated feature films.
Okay. And he's also interested in keeping Vero afloat as a social media site for some reason.
He one and only subscriber. He is the one. Good for him. They've got to have him on a contract or something to that effect. Done with DC. Marvel Minute.
Marvel, only thing I saw was Deadpool 3 is officially a go. New writers, though, written by the Molyneux sisters, who are known for writing Bob's Burgers. So, I mean, I guess that is the kind of the same kind of pithy humor, whatever, as a Deadpool. But I don't know. Does this bring a little bit of worry? What are they going to do? This is the first time we're doing it outside of the Fox universe. Before it was set in that kind of X-Men-y stuff that was already set. This will be the first time trying to bring it into the pure Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, I don't know. What do you think?
We fired one guy from 1 to 2 because of creative differences with Reynolds. Sure. So now Reynolds is okay with these people now writing it.
Yeah.
That part's intriguing to me. The whole reason we got rid of the one guy was he wanted more control over it, but now he's letting other writers jump in.
I just wonder if we're going to get more serious with the character and try and steer it into that Marvel universe and make him actually worthwhile. Like he's going to be the introduction of mutants or whatever
Right.
into, Marvel. So we'll see.
I didn't love Deadpool 2. My thought coming out of that was I'm okay, like give me an X-Force movie,
See,
like
I'm in the huge minority. I actually kind of enjoyed the second one better because it wasn't just Deadpool. I liked
okay.
how they were bringing in other people and bringing in Cable and bringing in Domino. I enjoyed that, and I looked forward to, yeah, like you said, an X-Force movie or
Okay.
whatever. But now it's like they got to start over almost on to some extent. So
Possibly. Yeah,
yeah.
true. Um the one big thing that I saw was that Black Panther 2 is going to start filming in July.
That's right. That's right. A little later than originally planned. Originally I think it was supposed to start January, February, whatever. Obviously, with Boseman passing, that changes it up.
Yeah.
But maybe that means that they've solidified their story plans. I know it said Shuri was going to be a bigger role, obviously.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see what happens.
If Boseman was alive, I felt sure he was going to be a bigger role. Like I think we all predicted that anyway, but
Sure,
maybe like
it's almost like Black Lightning. Like we're getting the girls ready to take over, and this is what they're going to do with Black Panther as well.
yeah. This is earlier. I mean, this was supposed to be January, pushed back to July, so that it is technically later. But in my mind, with Boseman dying, this is earlier than I was. I thought we would let this breathe much
I
longer.
think they're just
But
stuck on their. We got to get these movies out. They have a certain order that they want to
sure.
do it, and they've already been pushed back because of COVID. So,
Well,
we'll see. We'll see.
first time in 12 years we haven't had a Marvel movie released. In 2020. So I'm sure they're looking at that. And once again, Marvel has come out. They keep getting asked this. I don't know why. There will be no more Iron Man. RDJ is done as Iron
Yeah,
Man.
move on, folks.
They
We don't
keep
need to.
asking, maybe he'll be in this, maybe he'll be in that. Can we bring him back? And they keep saying, no, we are done. I did see an interesting note on Kate Mara, who we talked about with
Uh,
a teacher. They were asking her about her Marvel thing. So when she
yeah,
was in Iron Man 2, right? Um,
just like a quick cameo. Yeah,
so they had a combo with her. They're like, listen, you'll work one day. It'll be a long day, but that's it with cameo. So she in her head was like, oh, I can get into this. I get to work with RDJ. I get to work with Favreau, and maybe it'll become a bigger thing. No, never did. And she was like, I was always bummed because in my head, I was like, oh, maybe I'll become this big character. But no, it was what she booked. And she doesn't regret it. But I don't
yeah.
blame her for thinking that. Any actor that would get into that series would probably think, hey, maybe I'll be a bigger character. And,
And now
shit,
she's just teaching in a small school. So
it's not all she's doing. But to that effect, I mean, forget her character. Like Sam Rockwell probably thought the same thing.
yeah,
Like
I
you're
actually
making
wouldn't mind seeing him come back.
do it, bring him back, totally down. All right, done with the Marvel minute. Let's go forward, wrap things up.
All right, going forward for this weekend is actually pretty busy since it is a holiday week. A lot of stuff's dropping around Thanksgiving. They want you to get around and watch stuff with your family. In theaters, we're getting Croods 2 releasing, as well as a new Christmas Carol film with a predominantly British cast. I think like Andy Serkis is in there doing some motion capture, things like that. So those movies are going to be released in theaters, apparently.
Sorry, you said Christmas
I'm out.
Carol.
No, I'm out on both of those films. I could care less. I've already seen so many versions of Christmas Carol. I don't need another one. And Croods, I was not a huge fan of. So,
Has
uh,
anybody changed the Christmas Carol story? Like in all these
not
iterations
enough
of
where
it,
it
have
matters.
anybody?
Yeah,
Huh?
not enough where it matters. I mean, it's all pretty much the same.
The only one I saw, I think it's Saved by the Bell. They made them go shopping at Mooney's because there was a sale that with the homeless girl.
Speaking of Saved by the Bell, on November 25th, we're finally going to get that drop on Peacock. So, you got your Peacock up and running, ready to
Ready to
go?
rock, baby. I'm ready to
So on
rock.
the next week, we'll have a first take on Saved by the Bell Peacock from Brian. We're getting Fat Man on VOD. I'm pumped. I want to watch that. So
100%.
hopefully I can check that out. We'll have a review for next week. Hillbilly Elegy drops to Netflix, which I'm concerned on this one, buddy.
I have
We
not
we
seen
weren't
anything good.
well, we weren't huge on the trailer anyways, and then the Rotten Tomatoes I think is like in the 20s.
Boy, wow.
But they're still saying maybe the performances could be, Glenn Close, Amy Adams could get nominations. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it. We'll have a review next week. I'm gonna try and watch it, but we'll see. Also, Christmas Chronicles 2 is coming to Netflix this week. I'm pumped. I know the family's gonna get around and watch that one. We really like the first one.
I love that
Uh,
one because remember that dropped last year and that was like a sneaky hit where people were like,
yeah,
this is a freaking awesome movie. Make another one. And then the
sure.
studio was like, okay. And they
Okay.
gave us another one.
Yep. Yep. Love it. Let's just hope they don't overstay their welcome.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Happiest Season is dropping on Hulu. We talked about the trailer maybe a week or two ago, as well as Super Intelligence. That one's coming to HBO Max. We also talked about that trailer with McCarthy there, Melissa McCarthy. There's also a movie coming called Uncle Frank on Prime, which I hadn't seen trailers or anything of it, but I'm going to try and check it out. I think it's Paul Bettany stars in it, so I think that one might be interesting.
All right.
We're getting another Small Axe movie next week. I think that one is the musical kind of rom-commy or romance one. It's called Lovers Rock. We're getting the finale of Undoing and Fargo this weekend, so we got a little catching up to do. Hopefully we can watch those finales in time for next week.
Where are you on Undoing?
I'm 2 behind on both, Undoing and Fargo. Yeah.
Undoing, I'm sorry, not last night's, but oh my God. I'm digging that show big time.
Okay.
Yeah.
As well as Freaky is hitting VOD next week. So I don't know if we'll be able to watch it before next week's episode, but that one's coming available on VOD. And then on December 1st, which will be the day we record the next episode, they are dropping Movies That Made Us, a special 2-episode holiday season on Netflix. So you're going to have episodes about Elf and Nightmare Before Christmas. So that's cool.
I'll watch half of it.
So lots of stuff coming in the next week. I mean, I've got
a lot.
Yeah, 6 or 7 things there that I could easily watch and review for next week if I have time. There's also a couple other things available right now that I did plan on watching for this week, didn't get around to. The Nest with our girl Carrie Coon and Jude Law. I want to check that out. That's on VOD. And Come Play, the scary movie with the Thing and the iPad. So if I can catch up with those movies, those might be reviewed next week as well. So lots and lots of stuff to talk about next week. We'll see.
You guys might get a second episode next week of just reviews, depending on what we can watch.
It just depends. I mean, it's going to be busy with family stuff and whatever, and I've got some work stuff to do this week, so we'll see. If we have time, we'll get some good reviews for you next week.
Folks, you guys have Patreon, Take Two listeners, you have a busy week as well coming up because you have a new episode for Patreon that is dropping on Friday that you get to listen to. This is the second part of our musical series that Tony and I are doing. First, Patreon, it's in your feed right now for best scores, and then this one is going to be best soundtracks. So the only way you can get that is if you are a Patreon member, as low as $1 a month, 4 different tier levels that you can jump on there. We would love to have you sign up today. Patreon.com, Take Two Podcast. Of course, all the socials. You've got the poll that comes out on Thursday. You've got the cinema that usually comes out on Saturdays, and then you have a spotlight this weekend. We've given you many clues for this. If you check our socials, there's some clues out there. This actor is not young and is not a girl. That's it.
Yeah, it's a good one. I like it.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
Don't forget, we also have a new episode on Sunday dropping. The Realm of Take Two Podcast.
Of the Realm. That's right. We are packed. Man, we might have to move the secret cinema around.
Okay.
We might have to push that to Monday. Maybe we'll push that to Monday.
Yeah, because we aren't recording until Tuesday next week anyway, so that'll give us a little opportunity to breathe. And I will make sure I still drop the poll on Thanksgiving night. So while you're sitting on the couch, fat and full of turkey and watching Christmas classics, go ahead and get on our socials and vote on the poll. Happy
Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a safe, healthy, mask-wearing, enjoy your families, however you guys are experiencing this unique 2020 Thanksgiving. Hopefully everyone has a very, very good one. And from everyone at Take Two Podcast, happy Thanksgiving. Tone, happy Thanksgiving to you, bud.
Thank you. You too. Go Browns, go Buckeyes, and I guess go Giants.
Woo! Thanks, Val. For episode 215, have a great night, everybody.
See ya.